This is NBA Showtime with your host, Bob Costas.
And a heartfelt happy Valentine's Day. Accordingly, then, this would be the Love Shack, the Orlando Arena, home of Shaquille O'Neal and the Orlando Magic. Today, the Knicks are in town, bringing with them a 7-game winning streak and the best record in the Eastern Conference. Bob Costas in New York, along with Quinn Buckner. Welcome to the NBA Game of the Week. Now, unless Shaq brings down the rim during warm-ups, the tip-off is about a half hour away.
Yeah, that's the case. But with Patrick Ewing and Shaquille O'Neal, I know that's the marquee matchup. But I think in order for New York to be successful, what they have to be concerned about is getting Charles Smith involved in the offense, because he's the guy that can really key him. At 6'10", he's active and can play 3 positions. If he plays better offensively, New York can really challenge Chicago for the championship.
Okay, now, as we said, this is the third matchup between Patrick Ewing and Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq has gotten the better of the first 2 meetings, using his 60-pound weight advantage and considerable strength to muscle Ewing. At the other end of the floor, Shaq has played very good defense on Patrick, forcing him into some difficult shots and 37% shooting in the 2 games. In the first meeting at the Garden in New York, the Knicks won by 15, and though he was in foul trouble, O'Neal had the better numbers, outscoring and out-rebounding Ewing. In the second meeting in Orlando, Ewing's points went up, but he shot only 9 for 27, and the Magic beat the Knicks by 1.
I remember when I was in high school and he was in college and he just got drafted. I wanted to pattern my game after him. And, you know, he's a great player. He's 7'1", 300 pounds. He uses every ounce of it.
Well, there's no question that Shaq has already joined the elite centers in the league. For more on the Ewing-O'Neal matchup, let's bring in our elite duo, Marv Albert and Mike Fratello. Marvelous.
All right, Bob, who can stay out of foul trouble may determine the outcome of today's game. And recently, fouls have hurt Shaquille O'Neal. In fact, he has fouled out of 3 of the last 6 games. And as we saw last Sunday in the contest against Phoenix, rookie-type mistakes hurt Shaquille in terms of fouls that were picked up.
Well, Marv, basically, he's picked up his fouls 2 ways. One, he is a rookie. It's an apprenticeship. It's on-the-job training. He's learning as he goes along what he can and cannot do. Secondly, when you got a guy like that who blocks and changes shots, he has to cover a lot of times for his teammates. If we go back to a week ago when Orlando visited Phoenix, he did foul out. He got his first one being a little too aggressive, trying to be an offensive rebounder over the back of Barkley. Secondly, trying to block a sure score by Barkley. The attempted block, it's a foul. Number 3, he'll learn. Let Barkley go. Your team needs you on the floor. Don't commit a silly foul like that one. Number 4, you get him out near the foul line. He's not used to defending away from the basket. Number 5, a great acting job by Charles Barkley. And number 6, Skiles calling for help. I need you, Shaq. There's personal number 6. He'll learn as he goes along.
And Mike, earlier we talked with Shaquille about his foul difficulties.
Most of them are just silly fouls. Letting the guy catch the ball too deep in the lane or helping another one of my players out. And I think if I stop trying to block every shot, I could stay in the game. Some of the calls are questionable, but, you know, some are great calls. And I've always been one to get into foul trouble ever since high school. So I'm just going to go out and continue my game, and whatever happens, happens. And I hope I can stay in most of the time.
Now, Mike, if you were coaching Shaquille, not that I'm suggesting a career change here, what would you tell him, though, in terms of the excess of fouls recently?
Did you wear this shirt to match mine on Valentine's Day? Is there a purpose?
For more on the Shaquille O'Neal-Patrick Ewing matchup, let's go over to Ahmad Rashad.
All right, Marv, I just finished talking to both these big centers just moments ago in the locker room, trying to press them on this rivalry. Now, both of them tried to downplay it. Patrick told me that it's team against team. It's not man against man. As I pressed him a little bit more, he says, okay, anytime I play against the so-called great centers, it really gets me fired up because it brings out the best in me. Now, when I talk to Shaquille O'Neal, he is a remarkable young rookie. Of all the rookies that I have interviewed the last couple of years, Shaquille is one who is not in awe of the NBA. He says he worries about other centers in the league about as much as they worry about him. He's not in awe at all. Now, as I was leaving the locker room, Charles Oakley walked by me and he said, hey, no matter what either one of them tell you, they will be going at it today. Bob?
All right, Ahmad, obviously a late arriving crowd in Orlando. Many empty seats, which we hope will be filled by 1 o'clock. Oh, it's already passed. What time is it, actually? By 1:30 Eastern time. Okay, 9 games on the NBA schedule last night. The marquee matchup was between the first and second place teams in the Central. The Cavaliers visiting Michael Jordan and the Bulls at Chicago Stadium. And there's number 23 back in the Bulls starting lineup following the one-game suspension. The game the Bulls lost at home against the Knicks Friday. Watch this. Craig Elo with a 55-foot fling at the end of the first quarter. Puts the Cavs up by 2. On to the third quarter. Fast break. Mark Price goes behind the back. Beautiful pass setting up Brad Daugherty. He led the Cavs with 25. Jordan, however, who got only 2 points in the first quarter, rebounded from that slow start, leading a Bulls comeback late in the third. Michael finished with 25. Chicago taking a 1-point lead into the fourth quarter. But it was Elo's 6th three-pointer of the game, coming with 46 seconds left to play, that sealed it for the Cavs. Cleveland, minus starters Larry Nance and Mike Sanders, nonetheless beat the Bulls in Chicago.
Elo really hurt us with his 24 points. I mean, you expect it from Price, you expect it from Daugherty, maybe a little bit from Williams, but Elo with 24 really hurt us. And we just didn't play any defense throughout the whole game.
Check this. The Bulls have now dropped 3 straight at home. Charlotte back on January 22nd, Friday night against the Knicks without Jordan, and this one to the Cavs. It's the first time Chicago has lost 3 straight at home in 7 years, dating back to February of 1986. Now, of course, they played much of that year without Jordan, who was out with a broken foot at that time. The loss drops Chicago a half game behind the Knicks for the top spot in the Eastern Conference. The best record in the West is owned by the Phoenix Suns. They were on the road in Seattle as we go through the rest of last night's games. Just over half a minute left, and Danny Ainge will connect on the three-pointer, cutting the Sonics' lead to 93-92. Then in the final seconds, the Suns inbound with a chance to take the lead, and they do it as Ainge dishes to Charles Barkley. Barkley hits the clutch jumper from the side, and it's Phoenix by 1, 94-93. Barkley had 33, but he celebrated prematurely because the Sonics had one last chance to win it, and Derek McKee drives right past Richard Dumas for the game-winning basket with only 0.4 of a second on the clock. Seattle thus snaps the Suns' 5-game winning streak. Boston's 4-game winning streak came to an end in San Antonio. David Robinson leading the way for the Spurs, 28 points, 10 rebounds. San Antonio has now won 7 straight overall, and they are 22-3 for John Lucas. In Utah, Mookie Blaylock with a nice setup for Dominique Wilkins. Wilkins in the zone all night for Atlanta. He got 22 of his game-high 43 points in the fourth quarter. The Hawks get back to 500 with a win over the Jazz, and Dominique will return to the Delta Center next Sunday for the NBA All-Star Game. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for Sacramento's All-Star guard Mitch Richmond. He won't play in the All-Star game because of a broken right thumb. In the final seconds, Golden State down against the Kings by 1, but off the steal by Byron Houston, it's Latrell Sprewell hitting from long range, giving Golden State a 111-110 lead. Sprewell and Tim Hardaway each with 23. Following a timeout, Wayman Tisdale drives baseline and scores, but the play is whistled dead prior to the shot, a non-shooting foul nullifying what would have been the go-ahead basket, much to the chagrin of Gary St. Jean, the Kings coach. Still, Sacramento with one last chance, but Spud Webb misses at the buzzer. The Warriors hold on, and they snap their 8-game losing streak. 4 other results last night. Houston beat Minnesota as Otis Thorpe had 23. Christian Laettner with a season-low 7 for the Wolves. The Bucks snapped a 5-game losing streak. Frank Brakowski got 27 and grabbed 13 boards. The Pacers lost their 6th straight, despite Detlef Schrempf's triple-double, 34 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists. The Nuggets have now won 10 straight at home. Robert Pack tied his career high with 21. And the woeful Mavericks lost by 23 at home to the Sixers. Dallas is now 4-43, and at that pace would finish 7-75. The all-time NBA record for fewest wins is 9, set by Philly in 1973. In light of that, I'm not sure if the Mavericks' interest in you for their head coaching spot is an invitation or a threat. All right, let's not negotiate on the air. Coming up, those 2 icons of information, the insiders, Peter Vecsey and Bill Walton, will join us as NBA Showtime. Oh, what a frightening sight. Continues. Bill Walton, congratulations. Obviously, it's well-deserved. And Peter Vecsey, who claims to once have visited the Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield, Massachusetts. Well, the first topic is the skirmish between the Pacers' Reggie Miller and Michael Jordan on Wednesday at Market Square Arena. You've probably seen this already. One more look. They had been pushing and shoving, and ill feelings had been brewing earlier in the game. Now, at this point, Miller, after the tip-in, comes right after Michael, and Michael goes off, chases after him. Miller's going to get much the worst of it here as Michael grabs him and eventually rakes him across the face. But it was Miller who was tossed out while Jordan remained in the game and scored 40. A few weeks ago, I asked NBA Commissioner David Stern about the longstanding charge that the league gives preferential treatment to Michael Jordan and other superstars. Here's the commish.
We have rules, and we try to apply them evenly to everyone. Michael Jordan bumped an official. Was it last year or 2 years ago? I think I put it out of my mind.
In that overtime game in Utah?
Yeah, and when the Phoenix, when he played the only game in Phoenix that season, he had to sit down, and the fan mail was hateful. And I understand it. It was, how could you take him away on the only game into Phoenix? The answer is that's the rule, and it applies to everybody.
And the NBA held to that in this case and took Jordan away from the Bulls on Friday. Very important game against the Knicks. It also cost him, all things considered, about 50 grand, which he can pull out of the petty cash drawer. But more importantly, the game against the Knicks at home, Chicago loses. That could be very important in terms of overall Eastern Conference standing, or if they have the same record as the Knicks, the tiebreaker for home court advantage down the line. So it hurt.
It certainly did, but Michael Jordan did the right thing. Superstars do not get protected by the referees. They take a incredible beating out there, and they need to go to the foul line more. On that tape, Reggie Miller goes after Michael Jordan underneath the basket, and he stops and impedes his progress running up the court. Jordan had to do that. Sometimes you have to throw a punch to defend yourself, and if you don't, they're going to keep coming after you time and time again.
Rebuttal, Scribe.
Spoken like the warmonger that he was in the 70s. No, listen, I'll take great exception to the fact that the referees didn't do something before this began. I mean, there were two incidences before that where they should have been able to figure out what was coming. They did miss the punch that Jordan threw. Otherwise, they would have put him out of the game. But Rod Thorne, the VP of violence of the league, told me that there have been 20 instances since he's taken over there in the league office where refs have missed things and he's had to come in and make a decision and suspend somebody or fine somebody the day later. It was eminently fair.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you on for a change. Why not? Because I do think the superstars do get the benefit of the doubt. Now, where I don't argue with you that he has to protect himself, but I think the officials had this opportunity, as you said, to stop this thing early. They didn't do it, but the rule is fairly applied once they had the chance to do this. In addition to this, quite frankly, I've got to think some of this has to do with the Bulls struggling, and Michael might be a little bit frustrated here, and that may have been his frustration coming out.
All right, next item on the agenda here, the trade deadline is 11 days away. What's hot?
Well, it's been pretty well documented that the Blazers have been trying to trade Kevin Duckworth. Hardly part of the rotation anymore. But the biggest news that I found out is that they're trying to move Clyde Drexler.
Whoa.
They're shopping him all over the league. There's been a lot of dissension among the troops the last couple weeks. Clyde has gotten into it with some teammates. He wants the ball more. They are upset about his defense. Coach Adelman had to call every player in at the beginning of the week and talk to them individually. And the Clippers are the one team that have reached out for Clyde, talking about Danny Manning. Now, Duckworth might have to be included with that and another Clipper, but they are talking.
It's interesting that finally Clyde Drexler is doing what the Blazers have wanted him to do for years, be assertive, aggressive, a leader, want the ball more. And now that he's doing that, they're dumping him. But if they can get a Danny Manning, that would be great for them because their front line is really struggling. And with Rod Strickland in the mix in the backcourt now, they've got more flexibility. Drexler is certainly a possibility.
Well, I think it's a real possibility for a lot of reasons. I think this is a team that's been to the finals enough times with this unit as a nucleus, and it's time to look at changes. Where you and I agree for a change is that Clyde is definitely on the downside. And if you get a Danny Manning, you got a chance to move up that ladder maybe a little bit more.
I know the Suns are already at the top of the heap, but they're looking to get better still as the playoffs approach, so they want a deal.
That's right. As evidence as we saw before when Richard Dumas couldn't stop Derek McKee, they need a defensive stopper. They need a rebounder. They're talking to Detroit about Dennis Rodman, offering, you know, the regular suspects, Oliver Miller, Chambers, Ceballos, Knight, those kind of guys, must stop. I don't think that'll be enough, but Bill's got another possibility.
Clippers also want Rodman very much, and they're willing to give Loy Vaught or Kenny Norman, put in Gary Grant, and a lottery-protected #1 draft choice there. That could get the deal done. Any team would want Dennis Rodman that has a chance to win. He's an emotional player. He can't produce on a team that has no chance to go anywhere. That's Detroit right now. And then what's going to happen to the rest of those championship players in Detroit once Rodman leaves?
But of course you assume the risk involved with his personal circumstances, tragic as they are. When we come back, Quinn takes a look at the improving Knicks offense. Their defense is already among the league's best. Now their offense apparently is clicking, and we'll get to it right after this. John Starks. Like his teammates, Starks has been on something of a tear, averaging better than 20 a game during the Knicks' current 7-game winning streak. New York's offense has come alive in the last couple of weeks. For most of the season, they were among the poorest shooting and lowest scoring teams in the league, but they've turned things around during the winning streak, scoring over 100 points in all 7 games and shooting better than 52%. Here's Quinn.
Pat Riley may be the best teacher in the game today. But this season, he was presented with 7 new students. And on paper, it appeared that Riley had the makings of a potent offense. But the progress had been slow, and until recently, it had been the D that had accounted for most of the Knicks' W's.
I think when you bring 7 new guys in, usually your defense is going to come around first if you have the effort and the commitment there. And the offense is going to take its time. And I think if you have watched us over the year, it's gotten better and it's getting better and it's getting better. So I'm comfortable with our offense. I'm very comfortable with our defense.
And with good reason. The Knicks defense is ranked #1 in the league, allowing 95 points a game. Meanwhile, the offense has been near the bottom, primarily because it took so long for the new players to become comfortable in their new environment.
It's been slow for me because I've been moving around a lot. I've been playing the 3, 4, and 5 position. And, you know, to get a position and know it, the ins and out of that position, running the set plays that we have, that makes you a better offensive player. But I've been bouncing around a lot, and it's been tough to get to really know what to do in certain times when the offense is coming your way.
We're not playing to his strengths right now, and I think over the second half of the season, Charles is going to feel a lot more comfortable in his own spot.
The transition for me has been more mental. First of all, I just had to deal with getting past some of the injuries and the back problems I've had this year, and also just getting ready for the mental part of it, of not being in a high-profile type of a role, and just trying to be as consistent as I possibly can when I'm asked to do something, and just to make sure that I'm focused when I get on the basketball floor.
He is not the 21-point-a-game Rolando Blackman that everybody remembers from Dallas. I mean, he's 34 years old. He's experienced. He's going to become a great support player for us, and he's going to help us with his perimeter shooting. So I feel very comfortable with his role.
Now 47 games into the season, it appears the offense is finally coming together. The Knicks have won 7 in a row and have eclipsed the 100-point mark in each of their last 8 outings. The recent play of John Starks has provided the added backcourt spark the Knicks lacked earlier. Riley's new class appears ready for the second semester.
Our overall field goal percentage the last 6 or 7 games is up over 50%. We're scoring about 103, 104 points a game, and I always thought that we would probably be 6 or 7 points better once our players really understood the roles a little better, or maybe they understood the offense we were trying to run a little bit better, and they just felt more comfortable. And I do think we're going to get better as the second half of the season comes down.
Everyone wanted it so bad to work in game 1, not understanding it takes time. I think we're learning that. Everyone is going with what got them traded here, and now it's starting to work.
The players that we had last year, Mason, Oakley, Patrick Ewing, John Starks, and Greg Anthony, because of them knowing the system, knowing what I want, it's almost as though they're gravitating to the majority of the minutes, with our newer players becoming support players. I don't know if that's going to be the case the second half of the year, but it's just sort of looking like it's developing that way, and I think that's what this whole process is about, is that it really does come to a head. Players will take care of playing time, combinations take care of combinations, and by the end of the season, you hope you got it right.
Well, Pat may be onto something there. They have the best record in the East, and yet they are obviously still improving. A lot of people will say, well, Chicago will kick it in gear in the playoffs, and then it'll be all over. Or Cleveland, if they stay healthy, has more star players. But still, the Knicks seem to have the biggest potential for growth, and yet they have the best record in the conference already.
And I agree with that, and I think what's really helping them now is after you play 47 games, you move along in the season, there's no hesitancy in knowing where players are going to be any particular place on the court. So you can now go up. If you fake a shot, you know somebody will get open and you can get them the basketball. I think that's the kind of thing that Charles Smith needs to become comfortable in the offense, because I contend that with his ability to play for sure 2 positions, possibly 3 positions, he's the most important part of their offense.
And, of course, if Rolando Blackman ever finds his stroke for an extended period, that offense will get another bit of juice, right?
Yeah, it gets a pop, but it gets the pop because Starks has it for the most part, but the playoff experience of Rolando Blackman will be what would help them.
Okay, up next, the Knicks and the Magic from Orlando. Marv Albert and Mike Fratello will have the call, and we'll see you at halftime with a look at some of the new faces in next Sunday's All-Star game. Until then, enjoy the first half, everybody.